So this is Mob Cob.
Yes.
He shoots slower than the base variant.
Yes.
So he should do a lot more damage per shot than stock, right?
Makes sense to me.
Then how much does he do?
1 more damage, which becomes 0.5 more damage because we are super intelligent at balancing.
Listen here, you little shit. Welcome to a video on how to get good at Mob Cob, perhaps the most pointless variant in the game, given how much they kept buffing the stock variant. Players who can master what is essentially a Tesco's home brand stock variant but with a useless gimmick will truly feel what it's like to main a lesser version of an already existing variant. Let's get started. The Mob Cob is a variant of the Corn class, who is a part of the Mafia in investigating very important missions, such as what caused BFN to be a mess on the launch of Founders, as well as figuring out why more than 30% of the community want to engage in the act of shagging a literal sunflower. The Mob Cob's primary weapon of choice is of a fully automatic suppressive weapon, because his hands resemble those of Tommy guns, mostly because he wanted to fully fit the Mafia cosplay, and willingly sacrificed his fucking hands. The weapon fires at 400 rounds per minute and has a massive 45 ammo per clip before needing to take a lengthy 2.5 second reload. Each shot fired can deal 8.5 damage for a normal hit and 10.2 for a critical hit. The weapon does have a slight amount of drop off, with it going down to 7.5 damage for a normal hit and 9 damage for a critical hit at mid-range. Because Mob Cob's weapon fires noticeably slower than the base variant, this does make his weapon easier to use and handle at longer distances, which when paired with his damage drop-off range not starting until later, means that Mob Cob can more prominently be a threat at longer distances, so it can make engaging in fights against long-range specialists like Camo Rangers, Pirates, or any other long-range variant noticeably easier. However, this is not the only perk that Mob Cob has, well, at least in Pop Capsize, since the secondary perk rarely comes into play at all, and even then, it fucking contradicts itself. I am of course referring to the pierce mechanic, not to be confused within the act of pinpricking your bully's condoms, allows you to hit multiple enemies with your primary weapon, provided they're standing within a straight line. However, because PopCap are such talented developers, the pierce mechanic fucks itself with how it was programmed. The first target you hit always deals full damage, but every subsequent target takes reduced damage. The second target takes 25%, the third takes 50% damage, and if you happen to put on one of the most useless upgrades in gaming, then you can hit a fourth target for like 75% less damage. So in other words, whilst the ability to pierce is there, unless it does actually present itself, you might as well not even fucking bother with it, given how useless it is. The optimal upgrade setup for the Mob Cob would be the damage, reload, and health upgrades, with the damage and reload upgrades being especially important, as they increase Mob Cob's overall damage output, allowing him to kill enemies quicker, as well as recover his large clip size quicker. The health upgrade also comes into play, as it does place him above certain kill thresholds, throwing off enemies' expectations. In terms of strengths, Mob Cob's higher damage per shot and more accurate primary allows him to have more of a prominent presence at mid to long range. His pierce mechanic, whilst it barely has any form of use, it can maybe be useful in scenarios where multiple enemies are forced together. However, because of how Mob Cob functions, he does rely a bit more in terms of the player's raw accuracy skill in order to function. His damage output is noticeably lower than the stock variant, so high health enemies can easily take you out before you even have a chance. Lastly, the pierce mechanic is extremely situational, to the point where it rarely comes into play at all. Thanks to this guide, you will now be able to rarely pierce through more than one enemy, and after mastering this variant, you might as well go and play stock, since he is effectively better in 90% of scenarios. Be sure to come back for the next episode next week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more shit like this. Have fun.